What's going on, Internet? Today, the Warriors of Light are going to be talking about a little bit about the World Championship. So, let's lay it out for you guys. We got last year's best 2 out of 3 with 3 decks. So, let's see. Got to have 50 cards, which is pretty intuitive there. You can only use 3 copies across each deck, which I think is really important. I think what this does is prevents you from stacking 3 of the same decks, which I think is a really good balancing mechanic we got going on.
Yeah, I like that it does encourage varieties of decks to be used. Like, every person's going to be coming in with pretty much 3 completely different decks. Most people are assuming that there's a good bit of people going to be running like completely different colors for each deck, which I'm sure there'll be some overlap. But I am, like, it's been done before, but I'm still a little surprised that it's only 3 copies. They're really limiting you. So if you're using 3 Aluas in one deck, you can't use a single one in another. But this does allow you to use 1 Emperor in every deck, so shut down.
Yeah, right. So. But you're not. It's going to hamstring running you can run Mono Ice, but you're probably not going to run Ice Kings because you can't run Thaumaturge in each deck.
Right. And Renoa's super hot, so...
Renoa?
Yeah, I guess it's possible to kind of work around it, but no, this is really nice, though, because it means, Vikings are only going to be in 1 deck. Right. You're not going to have to deal with 2 different decks running a Viking engine.
So, and it's a best 2 out of 3 format. Obviously, I mean, you're running 3 decks. You got a best 2 out of 3. You got to bring 3 decks to the event, right? And hope for the best. So, and you can't use the same deck twice. So once you use a deck and you either win or lose, you go on to the next one. So, I mean, that's really important. You know, I mean, it's a huge strategy to set up your lineup. Like, you're setting a lineup of decks, and then you have to think about, you know, how you're going to really control your opponent there and stuff like that.
Steve, have you given any thought to what you prefer? Do you for a Worlds event? Do you want 1, 2, or 3 decks?
I've never actually heard of a tournament requiring you to run 3 different decks. I think that's kind of crazy, but I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, I think all of us would be ready for it. Well,
I wouldn't. I wouldn't be ready for 3 decks.
I could make it happen. I mean, that's just, I've been buying a lot of cards, so I could make it happen. But would I be good at it? Probably not. I have 2 decks I'm really confident in, and the others are
And as far as being ready for it, these guys that are participating on this sort of level, honestly, participating in this level, I've been giving a lot of thought today, and the concerns being obviously price. You've got to buy 3 decks, but are the people complaining about price participating in this tournament? You know,
probably not. It's something to always keep in mind, but I don't know. It's the biggest argument about this, I think, that has the most merit is the tournaments leading up to this don't require 3 decks, which is good. That means more people have the chance to come together and make it happen. But that does mean that every player is not guaranteed to have 3 super competitive decks ready to go. And then those who hypothetically aren't prepared also have to pay for transportation and lodging if they didn't win that. So price is definitely a factor, but I think for the majority of people, if you can afford to go to Worlds, you can probably afford another deck, since thankfully top tier decks aren't too expensive right now for Final Fantasy. But I grew up not having a lot of money, so I'm definitely not going to say it's not an issue.
I would say that if you made it this far, somebody, probably multiple somebody's going to help you along the way.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Know? So there's that. I think this encourages, not only does it encourage diversity, but it encourages and it really implements a strong deck building by limiting only 3 copies to between all 3 of your decks. You have to build strong decks, and I think as a player, or honestly, as a team, you're probably, if you're playing at this level, you're going in with a team of people helping you construct and play test and things like that. It really encourages those teams to perform at their best, and like especially like, and this encourages good deck building and strategy. So I like it personally. Like I'm sure there's a lot of criticism on like the people that probably aren't there, and like, you know, get good. Like I guess is the the real response there. Like I'm not there. You know, I mean I gotta work and get a lot better to be there, but there's no reason to really complain about this. This might not be the best way, and Hearthstone, which is an online card game, does this. You know, you play with 3 decks and you go best 2 out of 3. And like honestly, playing online isn't as costly, but I think cost really isn't an issue here.
Yeah, like if you like moving past the cost side of it, just for does this format hold merit? It certainly does. It's certainly very interesting. What do you guys feel about? Because obviously, some people are thinking, you know, we should just have one deck, and some people, I think the more fun debate is 2 decks versus 3 decks, and I wanted to get into that real quick and just throw my 2 cents out there and let you guys respond, because I had a great thought earlier, which was I'm fine with a 3 deck. If it were up to me, I probably would have said 2 decks, but I'm definitely happy with 3. That's totally fine for me. But the difference between a 2 deck to 3 deck is if you go into round 3, it adds a lot more randomness in a 3 deck format than a 2 deck format. Because if you go into round 3 with a 2 deck format where you have to play different decks from 1 to 2, then round 3 you know what your opponent has, and you have a strategy, or like you have the ability to say which one of my 2 decks has the best chance against both of those. And I guess the downside being you now have that foreknowledge, so you're going into round 3 with a little extra knowledge. But I don't know. I kind of like the choice, but like I said, I'm fine with 3. What do you guys think?
Steve, you got any comments, or you want me to?
I mean, I can go on. I had to wait for Discord to stop freaking out. So, I kind of like it. I think it's kind of cool. It wouldn't give me the complication of like, what deck am I going to play? Because like if I'm sitting here thinking like I'm obviously not going to Worlds, but if I was going to Worlds, I'm ready right now. I don't have to edit any of my decks; they're all ready. I have 3 different decks that are completely different with cards that don't overlap, and it's really cool. It also, I really do like the whole different strategy too. Is you keep the deck that you think is the best, and you leave that for your second or third round, and then you just play the other 2 in the front. Like you can I'm gonna miserably lose my first one just so I make them think that they're gonna win. Well, I mean, I don't know if you would really play that strategy during Worlds, but then you just pop out these other cool decks that you learn their play style and okay, this is what they're gonna kind of play with. I think it's kind of cool. It gives option. I know whenever we played local qualifiers, by the end of the tournament, I kind of wish I could swap out my deck. It's not that I'm oh, I don't have the edge or anything. It's I just kind of want to play something a little bit different right now.
Sure.
So I guess this is because I got to top 8. So that for me that was 6 or 7 matches. I know I'm kind of freaking out right now. But that's 6 or 7 matches with the same deck, and then by the end of it, I'm a little tired.
I
didn't even fatigue for sure.
Yeah, I didn't even think of fatigue going into this, but that is a very, very good point.
Yeah, that's I'm a fan of the 3 deck thing. Like I said, it promotes diversity, it promotes deck building skill, and I think it rewards the better player, not necessarily the better deck.
Right.
So, and I'm a fan of it. I mean, the only other I think really good alternative is coming from Yu-Gi-Oh. You get a sideboard, so you play best 2 out of 3, and you have a side deck of tech choices essentially. Mm-hmm. And you play their tech choices, but then with that though, that just becomes in who has almost the better sideboard, because those tech choices become extremely devastating. Right? Once you gain enough information, you can devastate your opponent with a dice roll by going first and drawing the right card, essentially.
Right.
And having a better tech choice. Now, this just you get 3 decks, and you shake it up for 2 to 3 games, and also it implements a strategy of like, I'm gonna play with this deck first to try to grab that advantage out of the first game. Like grabbing that first game is gonna become extremely important to grab the advantage. And what's your strongest? Like, are you gonna go into with a mono ice discard to grab an early lead, or is that not gonna work out? Is somebody gonna play something that there's a huge mind game there, and I think that's a mental game in any sport or card game to me is probably the most interesting thing, and I'm really, really excited to see that.
Yeah, and it will. One part that I just thought about now, I don't know at what point, or even if, the contestants will have the deck list of the opponent revealed to. I know sometimes if there's like a 2-day event, at like day 2, whoever's topped of that, like
Right.
all of the deck lists are revealed. And of course, with 3 decks across every competitor, if this happens and there's like a top, I don't even know how many people are going. Oh, here it is. I'm looking at it right now. Day 1 will be 5 rounds of Swiss with a time limit of 90 minutes,
Right.
followed by a top 8 cut to day 2. And the
At
day 2
120
time limit
minutes.
is 120. So that's a top 8. So that's 24 decks to look through. And of course, if you're playing on best of the best level, the people at that level are going to be able to really look through and know who's who and who's doing what. If they release that deck list, that does add a little bit of strategy of, okay, this is the opponent. He's running Turbo Discard,
Sure.
Wind, Earth, and then he's running Scions. Although that might be a little contradictory, but like, here's the 3 he's running. What's my best bet to go first? And then,
Right.
oh, he didn't use this one first. That means 50% this. And then, oh, I know what his last deck's going to be, but then again, he knows mine. So it adds an extra little level there. And
it definitely brings it to a more cerebral level, and I think that's when, in any game, sport, activity, like when you get high-level players, like that's where you always perform, is in the head. Like when you perform, like when you can get a game to where you perform, like the person that performs better, up top, like that's where you want to be. I mean, this isn't a local qualifiers. Local qualifiers is a little bit of weeding to try to get some of those people there. But the best of the best, I think something like this really helps the best of the best show out. And that's the type of thing I want to get. I don't have to experience this personally, so on an outside looking in, this seems like a good idea. And post Worlds, I would love to hear everybody like come out and let me know their experience, and I highly encourage everybody to do so. I'm going to be watching on the stream and seeing how things work out. Yep. But for those that's playing, let me know how you feel about it. I mean, I don't have to really deal with this. I just have to deal with it in theory and see how it's going to work out. And I think it's going to work out great, and it's going to reward the better player.
Yeah, I agree. Steve, your thoughts?
I think it'd be really fun if we had like a small tournament like this one day. Like once the community's built up, like once everyone's got like enough cards and like community's built, I think it'd be so fun if we just did one of these. And I mean, I don't even know. Maybe we can go to the Dallas one and do one up there. But I don't know. That's what's on my mind right now. Is thinking about this. Like I kind of wish I was there playing in the nationals. I don't know if I'd be even good enough to get anywhere in it, but it'd be really fun. I think it's really cool.
It makes me want to revisit some of my top decks. I know, like I said earlier, I have 2 decks that I know I really love, and then I have others that may come in like 3rd through 5th. I just need to figure out what are my top 3 decks. I might really go through that to see if I can make my top 3 decks into like able to fit this format, and I wouldn't be surprised if from here on out, if we each have our own decks ready to go whenever we're just sitting around playing for fun, if we start using this format, because unless we're just really trying to test one deck, this is a really fun format.
I agree. But anyway, I would like to see what everybody else thinks. If anybody that's going to Worlds happens upon this, please let me know how you feel about it so we can kind of get a better handle on anything. So, let us know. Like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.